Hey, 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 happy day 17 of our Get Up and Go Challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here with another soap story. We're going to go through the soap framework one more time to help to really get familiar with it, to give us another example, another opportunity to work through the framework on something that we personally want to work on. So I asked yesterday, what area do you want to work on? And of course, answers were all across the board. Avil wants to work on physical, Tony wants to work on relationships, Kim wants to work on emotional, um, Jan wants to work on mental, Pete wants to work on contribution, and Pedro wants to work on spiritual. So everybody, and that's just a few. I just grabbed a few people's names and wrote them down. That's just a few people in the challenge that want to work on different areas. So I'm going to keep it open and general, and I'm going to pick financial this time. I'm going to work on a financial example as I go through the SOAP framework, but you can use, it's the same thing, the same tools, the same things that we talk about every day can be used no matter what area, what aspect of your life you're going to work on. That's why we need something flexible. That's why I like frameworks. They're flexible enough to apply to any area, any aspect of your life, any change, any challenge, any obstacle, any situation that you might be facing. That's what I love about the SOAP framework. So the S in SOAP is, of course, our story, our situation. So just like last time when we did the who, what, where, when, why, how way of looking at our story, our current story, and then the story of how we want things to be. Today we're going to talk about another really powerful tool that I call change or create your own story. I don't remember exactly the first time that I realized. It was probably in my corporate career after I'd gotten fired. I got fired from an organization in a really bad way, in a really bad situation, which I'm not allowed to talk about legally. And I took it really, really hard, really, really personally. And I told myself in that current situation, hey, I lost my job. I need a job. I'm in a situation where I really, really, really need a job, like a lot of people are right now during COVID right now. COVID-19 has caused a lot of people to be displaced, not just working from home, which is a change and a challenge in of itself, but literally lost their jobs, lost their income overnight, and been having to figure it out along the way. Now we've had like 6 months, so we've had to hopefully by this time figure certain things out and deal with certain things, but a lot of people still haven't, right? A lot of people are waiting for the world to go back to normal. Newsflash, this is the normal. This is the new normal. Our life and our world is always changing and always moving forward. And it's up to us to decide if we're going to go along with it or if we're going to get lost in the dirt and fall behind. I say let's get up and go along with the changes and make them work in our favor, because that's the story we can tell ourselves. Our tool today is all about taking the story and what it is and realizing that we have the power to look at it differently, to see the situation differently, to put on our rosy colored glasses or a different colored pair of glasses, or just stand somewhere else and look at the situation. Have you ever witnessed something, say a car accident or something, and you and maybe 25 other people witnessed maybe a fight, maybe a car accident, maybe a situation that you all witnessed, and the authorities are going around and asking questions, and they're getting different stories or slightly different versions of the story from everyone that witnessed it. Why? A couple of reasons. Number one, everybody's looking at it from a different physical position, a different perspective. And in addition to our senses being different, our previous experiences and our previous everything filters through what we actually will see. So let me think of an example. Say you see a gentleman, somebody abusing another person. I don't want to say, or bullying another person. Maybe it's a woman, maybe it's a man, maybe it's two men, two women. I don't know what the situation is. But in your mind, imagine that somebody is clearly bullying and picking on someone else. When this situation is analyzed and looked at and investigated, every one of the people that witnessed that will have a different perspective on what happened, depending on whether you've ever been bullied, if you've ever been in a fight or a situation like that. You'll have a different way of viewing that same event as everyone else. And that's when I started to realize, as I saw events like this unfold, that I could actually choose to look at what had happened from a different perspective. I probably learned a part of this from Tony Robbins like 40 years ago. and I never really used it. And I didn't really have a good opportunity to use it in my life because my life was just kind of chugging around until this event when I got fired. And it was a very strongly emotional event for me because it was a situation where I clearly did not deserve to be fired and let go from my job. And I took it personally. I definitely took it personally when this happened. And went into this little bit of a downward spiral. And I had to take that event, that emotional event, and I had to replay it in my mind and rewrite how that happened and what it meant to me. That's what I mean by creating a new story. I get to decide what happened, but how it looked from my standpoint and how I experienced that, how my boss experienced it, how the VP of Human Resources experienced it. All three of us were in the room at the same event, but I guarantee all three of us had very different experiences from that particular situation. It didn't last very long, right? And sometimes we take events and things that happen in our lives and we blow them up and we relive them for years. This was an experience I was doing that with. It was like maybe a 15 minute meeting, and I relived that event for hours and hours and hours over months. And at some point I realized this is not serving me, because every time I played it over in my mind, I felt worse about it. So I stopped playing it over in my mind and I changed my story about what it meant. And I opened up, and once I could even decide I could change my story, I could look at it differently, I could change what the meaning of it was to me, it opened me up to the possibility of what I wanted to create. Because as long as I was in that loop, I wasn't thinking about my future story and what I wanted. I was worrying about it, I was fretting about it, I was freaking out about it, but I wasn't in a position to really successfully go out and do interviews, to really show my best self, to put my best foot forward, because that was back when I was in corporate America and I was building my corporate career, and I thought that was the track I wanted to go down. Now, fortunately for me, I always had businesses on the side, so I wasn't destitute, but I still was in a situation where excuse me, I wanted the corporate aspect of my life. I wanted that to be something that I was pursuing. So we can change our story. We can change the way we're looking at things and the way we are experiencing them. So what I mean by this, as I take a drink for my tickly gummy throat, it's that time of year, it's getting cold where I am, and whenever that happens, spring and fall, I can pretty much always count on getting some kind of a tickle or a cold type symptom thing. So not COVID, people, just a cold. I don't even think it's a full-fledged cold yet. I just think it's the cold weather. So what area did you pick to work on through this time through the SOAP framework? Note that, and in your mind, I'm picking financial. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell myself, what is my current story? Oh, and the reason I said this is we want to remember that we're filtering things. We're filtering what our current story is. We want to be super honest with ourselves, but we also want to make sure we're not making the situation worse or the end of the world or more dire than it is. We want to keep it real, but we want to keep it real in a way that serves us, not in a way that hurts us. So we want to focus on solutions in the O, right? Not in continuing to relive the problem or the current situation. And we can do that with our ability and our personal power to tell a story, create a different story. If we couldn't create a different story, if we couldn't create what we wanted, what would be the point of anything? We would just be going with the flow and living through our lives, and we wouldn't have control over anything. And we don't have control over a lot of things, but we do have control over our ability to choose and change and filter things in a way that serves us. So today, pick the one area of your life. What's your current story? Our homework today is describe your current story, describe what you want. What do you want? So financially, what is my current story? Financially, what do I want? You can pick a big area, a big focus, or a small area. I could say, here's my financial story. Here's what I want. I want to make an extra $1,000 a month. Or I could say, I want to make $1 million a month, whatever works for you. So I don't want to limit. That's what's cool about having a framework and a process. It's up to you to make it your own, to customize it and create your own story around it, what you want it to be. So financially, where am I now? Where do I want to be? And I don't know what mine is yet. I haven't done my homework for today. Our action item today is just to go in the comment thread and share what you want in whatever area or aspect of your life you're working on. And I guess say what area you're working on if we can't figure it out from what you share. Probably we can figure out what it is by you sharing what you want. But if you feel like you need to describe it more or explain it to us, go ahead and explain it to us. Again, I want to keep it open so you can participate as little or as much as feels comfortable for you. Some people might not have a problem saying, I want to make $1 billion. I'm working on contribution. I want to figure out how I can change 1 billion people's lives. I want to lose 100 pounds. I don't know, whatever it is for you and whatever you feel comfortable with. Share what your future vision for this area of your life is, what you want it to be. Not what it is. We don't care what it is. It's different for each of us. We're all starting wherever we are, and we're going to what we want. So let's focus on what we want, the vision and the future of what we want. And maybe it's just over the next 4 days. Maybe you are working on physical and you just want to, you have no eating plan. You just want to figure out a way to eat better. And you want to have an actual plan of how you're going to eat. Whatever area or aspect it is for your life, pick the what you want and share that as the action item. Any questions on this? If I did a fuzzy job of explaining it, about being able to create your own story and how that impacts the story we tell ourselves now versus the story we want to tell ourselves, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow with the O of our soap. And I will, through this time through, use a financial example. So for my homework today, I will figure out what is my want from a financial standpoint and how big a thing do I want to do? Do I want to just do it for the soap period? Or do I want to do it for beyond? Pretty much I do everything for beyond, but it's up to you. All right. Have an awesome day. I'll be with you tomorrow. Bye. Get up and go.